afternoon, South Africa, and a very warm welcome to you. My name is Jeannie D, and this is Afternoon Express.
And I'm Bonnie Booley. Welcome indeed. Today's show is all about family and relationships, and Jeannie's favourite topic. We're focusing especially on marriage. Did you know that the rate of divorce has been steadily on the incline in South Africa over the past 10 years? What's more, according to statistics, there was 26% fall in new civil marriages between 2008 and 2015, which means less people are getting married as well.
Oh, I never knew that.
Well, Jeannie always tells me...
Maybe I'm setting the trend. Divorce is really a nasty business, no matter what way you look at it, to be honest with you.
It's terrible.
So today we've invited a number of experts to discuss the topic from a legal and from an emotional perspective. We also look at how a prenup agreement works and why it's important.
Absolutely.
You'll never love a man enough to give him back his house.
Or his ring.
Yeah.
So join the conversation online and head over to our social platforms where we want to know, have divorce rates ever affected your thoughts surrounding marriage? Tweet us at Afternoon Chat using the hashtag Afternoon Express, or comment on our Facebook page. Plus, if you'd like to share your thoughts live, then please do call us on 021 430 9881.
And for those of you who are still looking for love or looking for new love, we've got author Janna Joseph of Dating by Numbers and Sheldon Fitzgerald, relationship therapist and co-author of Dating by Numbers, on the couch to chat about alternative approaches to dating in the modern world. Plus, in our pet segment, now, if you're looking for love, don't go looking for a person, find a pet.
Come to us.
Today, we look at the importance of keeping your cat fit, and we've got another adorable little pup from the animal shelter, Sidewalk Specials, looking for a new home. So stay tuned for that if I don't adopt this
you're
little
going to
one
fall in
first.
love.
Oh.
It is going to be so cute. Cannot wait to share those stories with you. Good afternoon, South Africa. My name is Danilo Acquisto, and I get the huge privilege today to do all the fun, sweet treats on the show. I feel like I'm in 50 Shades of Grey today, or at least 3 shades of grey today. And you've got 3 sort of shades of milk we're going to be using.
Exactly, but how good's your Spanish?
No hablo español.
But can you guess the name? You said 3 milks, right? So it's called uno, dos,
tres.
and milk is leche.
Leche.
Making a tres leche cake today. Look at you.
Okay, so making milk 3 ways to making a delicious cake. It's perfect for those tea time treats. So stay tuned for that, and obviously head over to our social platforms and get interacting with us. We're live on SABC3. Let's meet our first guest.
So as we mentioned at the top of the show, the rate of divorce has been steadily on the incline in South Africa over the past 10 years. And according to statistics, there was a 26% fall in new civil marriages between 2008 and 2015. Are we as a society developing a fear of marriage due to the high rate of failure?
Or perhaps it's the legal aspect that scares us. So today we've invited family law attorney Rickma Coxon to fill us in on exactly what we need to know with regards to marriage and divorce. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Bonnie's been married. I've been engaged a million times.
Yeah, Bonnie's been married and divorced.
Yeah, and divorced. And it really is something that doesn't interest me anymore because of the high rates of divorce. Why are we seeing an incline in divorce? I mean, is it an incline?
Yeah.
An increase in divorce?
In divorce rates, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there are a number of reasons why people are getting divorced nowadays. I think firstly because people are getting married at a very young age, despite what we might think. So that's the one. I think the second is also the fact that nowadays women and men are quite ambitious and they're quite career-driven.
Yeah.
And you know, marriage and ambition doesn't always really go hand in hand, and you often find that the one party feels that they're being neglected as a result of the other party wanting to pursue a career.
Wow, and of course, I mean, our society is still very patriarchal, so it's usually that if the woman steps out of her perceived role or her traditional role, according to society, then it's a problem, right? Because men are given more of a right to pursue their dreams.
But funny enough, I've got a lot of friends who've gotten divorced, and often when I listen to the boys chat, they always undermine the role of a woman, especially if a woman doesn't have a career, and they say, oh, but she gets paid to stay at home anyway, she gets an allowance. So what kinds of laws are in place to protect women, like prenups and that kind of thing, in a marriage in our modern day law?
Okay, so firstly, I must just correct you. It's in South Africa we call it an antenuptial agreement.
Okay.
In America we call it a postnuptial agreement. So that's number one.
What is the difference?
It's the same thing. It's just different terminology. So if you're Googling prenuptial agreements, you'll find American law.
American law, yeah.
Yes. So firstly, educate yourself and find out what South African law is about with regards to patrimonial consequences.
Yeah.
But I would honestly say a prenuptial or antenuptial agreement is so important, and people often think that if you consider an antenuptial agreement, it means that you don't trust that the marriage is going to work out. And that's certainly not the case. I think educating yourself before you enter into a marriage and finding out what regime works for you.
Yeah.
For instance, if you already have a lot of money and you're at advanced age and this is your third marriage, it's probably not in your best interest to be entering into a marriage in community of property. Whereas if you're planning to start a family...
Unless you're marrying me, by the way. Sorry.
Well, if you're planning to start a family and you're both professionals and you're planning on taking some time off from work, then something like getting married with the accrual system would be beneficial to you.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so in South Africa we've got 3 different ways of getting married. The first is the default in community of property. That basically means that both estates are joined together. So whatever you had before you entered into the marriage and whatever you have after, all of it is joined together. And should the marriage dissolve, everything gets split 50-50. So that's the one everyone usually is very fearful about. The second is married out of community of property, and that means your estate is yours, my estate is mine, and we can contract separately. And should the marriage end, then both parties walk their different ways.
And whatever is accrued during the marriage, what happens to that?
There's no joint estate. So whatever you accumulated stays yours. And whatever your partner accumulated stays theirs.
Right.
So as a result of the inequality that these 2 regimes have caused, there was a new regime introduced, and that is getting married out of community of property, but with the accrual. And what that basically means is you conclude an antenuptial contract in which you state what your estate is worth at the date of marriage. And should the marriage dissolve at a later point, whatever the growth of the 2 estates were, the party whose estate has grown the least is entitled to claim 50% of the growth.
Sure.
Sure.
It's a mouthful.
That's very important information
It's good to not grow.
No, but I actually think it's so important for people to understand the divorce before they understand it, before they enter into the marriage.
Absolutely. Under what circumstances would a prenup or an antenuptial not hold in the court of law?
Okay, well, antenuptial agreement is still a contract, right? So the normal rules of contract apply. So if there is vagueness, obviously, then the contract will be void. Also, you have to be so sure that your contract is actually registered, because if you do not register that contract within the required time, you will be deemed to be married in community of property.
Sure.
Wow.
Thank you so much for educating us on South African law of marriage. No, even more scared.
After the break, we're back with the good people from Sidewalk Specials, and they've brought another adorable pup along who's looking for a loving home, and I think Jeannie's considering.
I know. Plus, dating expert Janna Joseph and Sheldon Fitzgerald shares a modern approach to dating. We'll be right back.
Clover fresh milk is way better. Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to our live broadcast. This is Afternoon Express. And if you're looking for that afternoon treat, we've got just the thing for you. And I think it's going to set social media ablaze. I'll tell you why, just because of pronunciation. Have you ever tried to pronounce tres leches? Tres leches, tres leches, whatever you'd like to call it. A tres leches cake, meaning the 3 milk cake, is a decadent treat to add to your dinner party repertoire. Now, with the superior quality of Clover fresh milk, it is guaranteed to wow all the guests at your dinner table. And if you'd like this recipe sent to you, simply SMS the keyword Clover to 33650. It'll cost you R1.50 and your free SMSs do not apply. Tres leches, tres leches.
It's Spanish, not French.
Sorry, then you give
it's
it to
not
us?
tres,
You
it's
give it to
tres
us?
leches.
Tres leches.
Tres leches, tres leches. I don't know who she is. Maybe you went to preschool with her. She's not here today.
Okay,
all right.
If you have any other pronunciation of tres leches, you're welcome to, I don't know, Insta story them to us. We'd love to be
Please
tagged in
do,
those
yeah.
Afternoon Express.
Okay, so in our food mixer right now, we've got some butter and
Mm-hmm.
some sugar. And we're going to add some... Okay, we're keeping it Spanish.
Huevos.
Okay, huevos.
Huevos.
Huevos going in. And then free range
Jose huevos.
huevos. And then we've got some vanilla. I don't know what vanilla is in Spanish, okay? Honestly, if there's anybody out there that's willing to give
Listen,
me Spanish
the
lessons...
words that this guy makes up in the kitchen, you might as well just make it up. Call it vanois.
Sounds very French again. You're losing
sorry,
it.
Spanish.
Okay, cool. That's going in.
Valence.
And you're going to start breaking up the eggs, getting it all mixed in with the butter. And then baking powder we're going to add to our flour. This is a very, very simple cake sponge. The amazing part comes in when we actually soak the cake in those tres leches, 3 milks. Can you guess what they are?
They are. I'm hoping one of them is obviously normal fresh milk.
It is.
Then is there condensed milk?
Condensed milk.
Yay, cool. My favorite thing in the whole world. And then what other milks do you get? What about like, I don't know, what are they?
Evaporated milk.
How can
But-
you, like it's evaporated so it's dry?
Dad, I'm actually glad you're asking me because I want you to guess because you're quite smart, right? So condensed milk, as you know, milk's being condensed with a little bit of sugar.
Yes.
Evaporated milk, can you guess what it is?
I mean, they just remove the water out of it. It's a slightly thicker version of normal milk, right?
Yes.
So it's...
Look at you. I'm so impressed. I'm going to add a little bit of milk to this right now.
I feel very professional. Also, I should sound smart with this outfit on today. I feel like
You look like you want to take over the world. All right, cool. Give it a nice mix.
there we
look
go.
at that.
On my outfit, careful, Clem.
I'm so sorry, Dr. Evil.
you,
Come
yes.
back, please. It's okay.
I will. Oh yeah, I won't fire you. What else will I do? What does Dr.
Feed you
Evil
to
do?
my
I'll
pet
feed
sharks.
you to the pet sharks.
Okay, cool. So we got a beautiful batter, and then once your batter's done, you can see that. Okay, I'm going to skip a little forward. So that goes into our cake tin,
Cool.
and it goes into the oven with your nemesis as well, if you want. Right? Roast them. It's going to come out beautiful, just like this.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've given it its first soaking of the milks already. So let's talk about those milks. Evaporated milk, condensed milk.
Ooh. Oh, so you added so the condensed milk adds the sweetness. The evaporated milk adds that sort of real
Richness,
flavor, that
yeah.
richness, that dairy taste that we all love. And then
then
you're
the milk.
rehydrating it all with some more normal milk.
Exactly.
Why don't you just use normal milk from the get-go?
Because you want all the different flavors and textures of milk. Come on, Dad. Come on.
And then he heats it up and evaporates it again. So it feels like you're evaporating it to re-evaporate it to add more evaporation to evaporate at the end.
Pretty much. You got it, right?
But
so
I hear
cool.
you, they've got different flavors. The different sort of, when you've evaporated all the water out, in fact, it does have a different flavor, so I get that.
Thank you. So cool. Nice and mixed. You can bring it to a nice simmer. Then switch off the stove. Here's our cake. It's already had 1 soaking.
Okay.
All right? And I do that while it's very hot, so it literally sucks up all that moisture. There we go, just like that. And now I'm going to spoon over some more. Now that it's cooled, it's going to soak through. It's going to become the most rich,
yum.
decadent,
You know what?
dense-
Because I was actually really disappointed I heard we were making a sponge cake on the show today because I really just don't like sponge cake. I'm one of those people who's like, what's the point of the sponge? Why just give me the filling? I want the filling. This is a nice way to turn that sponge into something so
You're
decadent
such
and
a
delicious.
villain, you know that,
I know.
honestly.
I know. But you've done a good job here.
Right.
Looks good.
Look how beautiful it looks. I would almost say this is cuatro
It's
leche
cuatro
cake
leches because there's
of the
cream on top. Nice.
Yay!
I like the way he thinks. Literally, it's so indulgent and it's the perfect ending to a meal. So especially if you've got friends coming over, imagine whipping this out and calling it a tres leches, a trois lochon, a tres leches, whatever you want to call it, it'll make your guests go, wow. Now remember, the keyword is Clover. You SMS it to 33650 at a cost of R1.50, and that SMS will be sent to you with all the details. Perhaps you've just tuned into the show and are joining in the laughter with us. Here's a quick recap of how to make it step by step.
Made with love by Clover.
We're having lots of love and fun in the Afternoon Express Loft, playing with our furry friends today. And coming up on the show a little bit later on, we're speaking a bit about marriage, divorce, and what comes after. So we're asking on social media, has divorce rates in South Africa ever affected your thoughts of marriage? Has it ever kind of influenced the way that you think about marriage? You can tweet us using the hashtag Afternoon Express. Obviously, you can find us, that's the hashtag. You can find us, our handle is Afternoon Chat, or find us on our Facebook page there, we're Afternoon Express. Plus, if you'd like to share your thoughts live, then you can call in live on 021 430 9881. Coming up after the break, however, we chat to life coach Nolene Adams about what happens when divorce is inevitable and how to approach life after. Plus, we look at the importance of keeping your pet kitty fit.
Clover fresh milk is way better. Made with love by Clover.
Whiskers, feed their curiosity.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3, and it's so good to have you with us this afternoon. We're really enjoying the show today. Now, all pets need exercise. Cats need to play and dogs need to run. And it's obviously more than just thinking that because you have a garden, your pet is getting exercise that they need. Lauren from Pet Wellness Works, in fact, is here to give us some insight into what pet exercise should really look like. Welcome to the loft.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It clearly seems like Donut needs the most amount of exercise in the loft today. She's one of our favorite friends. Donut, We've got all of her toys and things to try and get her to exercise, but we've learned that just letting dogs run around in the garden isn't necessarily all the exercise that they're going to need.
No, definitely not. You'll need to do a little bit more than that. At least 30 minutes a day will be required, and a good leash walk, which is nice and brisk, helps them to go for a walk and use all the 4-beat gait, as they call it. So if you're just going to let them play around or sniff around in a field for 30 minutes, that's the equivalent of you and I reading the newspaper, them sniffing around. So you'll have to do a little bit more than that.
I see. And in terms of the actual dogs and the breeds that we can find, are dog breeds different, and do they need different amounts of exercise?
Yes, all dog breeds are different, and they obviously influence or will influence the lifestyle that you have. So if you want to come home from work and you want to lounge on the couch, then best not to get your German short-haired pointer. You'll need something that's more sedentary. So maybe look at something like a Frenchie or a bulldog, but each dog will need a certain amount of exercise depending on what they're bred for, yes.
I see. And obviously there's different kinds of exercise, like you mentioned. There's a way of taking your dogs out for a walk. Is that walk on a lead? Is that free walking? Is there different ways to exercise a dog at home?
Yeah, walking on a lead is very important. So if they just amble around on the field, that's more just to sniff around and look at things and smell and whatever else. But for them, walking on a lead is important. Of course, enrichment and brain games at home you can also do to help them dissipate some of their energy and excess levels. But yeah, those are things that you can do for exercise.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I had a family dog who got quite old. Eventually, arthritis started to set in, and it was quite a difficult process because this dog particularly loved to be outside of the house and adventuring, meeting other dogs, but would come back absolutely knackered and exhausted, and in fact probably more sore than they were when they left. But they still need that kind of energy. Is there something we can do for aged dogs or dogs who are going through particularly tough times physically?
Yes, sure. So with regards to that, unfortunately there's a catch-22. When they're arthritic, they want to be more sedentary, but you actually need to keep them more mobile. So to improve that mobility, you want to take the concussive forces off their joints. So maybe using water will help that, particularly because there will be no concussive forces or minimal weight bearing on the joints, but the water will come up to their level to support them, and that buoyancy then takes all that off the joints, and then that flexibility remains. So every day that you aren't flexible with them, you lose it. So that's the best way to keep them.
And that's kind of what Pet Wellness Works does. You guys play around in those spaces.
Yes.
It's amazing work. Tell us more.
So we have an underwater treadmill and a swimming pool, which we mostly focus on. Yeah. We're based on the concept of like a human physical therapy practice, where we do massage and soft tissue techniques, and we use modalities like laser and ultrasound, for instance, for pain and inflammation. But we do all different types of exercises there: core works, balance work, proprioception. We do confidence courses for the little puppies, get them habituated, or train them how to swim themselves. But mostly we have rehabilitation for dogs that have had post-surgery or those conditions like arthritis, which are progressive diseases, and we try and prolong the progression of those diseases.
So the idea behind what you guys are trying to say is if you've got a dog at home who happens to be old, or perhaps you've adopted a slightly older animal or an animal that is injured, it's not the end of the line for them. There's no need to put those dogs down. There's so much that you can still do to ensure they live a happy, healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely, yes.
Stunning. Yeah. Really cool. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It's been an absolutely fascinating journey for me learning about underwater treadmills for dogs. I never knew that even existed. So especially if your pet is aged, please go find out more details. All of their details are going to be on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. And if you've always wondered where to know more information about the animals that we have in our loft, Baxter as well as Donut, you can follow them on Instagram. So we're also pretty innovative and cool like that. You can find them Adventures of Donut and Adventures of Baxter on Instagram.
Oh, they are so cute. Now, the topic of today's show is marriage and the unfortunate reality of divorce. Sometimes in life, a relationship reaches a point of no return, and divorce becomes the most logical solution.
So once a couple has made the decision, the process can be long and emotionally draining, but it's not the end. There is life after divorce, and joining us to discuss this is life coach Nolene Adams. Welcome to the Loft, Nolene.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nolene, divorce is a hard thing. It completely turns your life upside down, and every idea that you ever had about your future, your dreams, yourself, really gets questioned and tested. What are the different emotional stages that people go through after divorce? Can you name them for us?
Yes, so I think firstly it's important to acknowledge that going through a divorce is similar to experiencing death.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if both parties agree to it, it doesn't make the process any easier. And unfortunately, as a society, we're not skilled at allowing people that go through a divorce to grieve. And essentially, they're going through the same cycle. You know, there's denial, there's anger, there's betrayal, there's also acceptance at the end of that cycle. So I think there's some hope in understanding that, you know, it is a process and you will experience certain feelings, but you will get through that process.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been divorced, but I've gone through a few nasty breakups. How long should you feel bad for after a breakup or a divorce? Like, how long should that really lousy phase last?
You know, I don't have an exact answer.
Yeah.
It
varies.
It varies from person to person. But what I do know is, if you don't allow yourself that time to grieve, and if you don't make yourself and your healing a priority on top of everything else that you're juggling, it will take you longer. And you will get stuck in a place of feeling revengeful, of feeling bitter. And so that would be my advice.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because I think everybody deals with trauma differently, because it is a type of trauma.
Yes,
actually.
absolutely.
Yeah. And there's that kind of post-traumatic stress disorder that happens in your life. And then I also find that what you're talking about, that people actually need tools to actually help them prioritize their healing. Because when you don't prioritize your healing, being the divorced person becomes your new normal.
Absolutely.
So that's a framework from which you live your life.
Yes.
How can people avoid doing that?
You know, I think firstly you need support, and support in various areas of your life. You can, you know, decide to see a professional person. You can join a support group. There are various support groups out there, and the beauty and dynamics of a group setting is that you get to learn from other people, and you realize that you're not the only person going through this, and you're not the first person. You know, it's about building your tribe. That is so important, connecting with people that you trust and you can share your experience with. Yes.
Absolutely.
But also taking care of yourself, because I think afterwards, I think it's such a nice time, because well, personally, I think when you're feeling so lousy, that's whenever I'm feeling low, it's a time that I take for myself to take long baths, except in Cape Town drought. So to take longer baths, to go to more yoga classes, to really take better care of. What tools should women go to? Also to change their internal dialogue so that they don't punish themselves so much.
Absolutely.
Definitely. You know, one of the processes that I would take a client through is to look at what is the reality and what is the actual story that you're telling yourself about what's happening. Because it's that thought that you're feeding that is resulting in you feeling a certain way and behaving a certain way. And I agree with you, taking those long baths, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's the simple things that you do. Taking a 10-minute walk during your lunchtime, keeping a gratitude diary.
But changing your dialogue with yourself, like when somebody says, "Are you in a relationship?" instead of saying, "Oh no, I'm divorced," just say, "I'm single."
Absolutely.
There's also a very big part of this that a lot of people struggle with, and I love that saying. It says, when the elephants fight, it's the grass that gets trampled. The children. When there's children involved, how do adults speak to children about divorce? What kind of language can they use? And how should it be done? Should it be done by both parents? Can it be done singularly? Just some guidelines?
So I'm not an expert in child care and how you have that conversation. But I think it's very important that both parents get together and they choose what the best way is, and also get support from a professional. To help them have that dialogue.
I think it's really, really important, because I think it's how the children remember it is a really
It can be a
thing.
very traumatic experience, and it can impact the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
One of the things that divorce does is it really knocks down your self-esteem. How can people build up their self-esteem after being in a divorce?
You know, it comes back to prioritizing yourself as important, and creating a vision for, where you want to be, and taking those small steps every day, and acknowledging the progress that you're making, and embracing the emotions that you're experiencing. And that is really the program that I would run with someone, to take those small steps and acknowledge it, and have a vision because this is not, you know, the pain is temporary. The situation isn't great, but the pain is temporary.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on the show. That's some great advice.
Thank you.
So after the break, we're back with the good people from Sidewalk Specials, and they've brought another adorable pup along with who's looking for a loving home.
You keep on looking at me when you're saying that.
Loving home. Loving home.
We also have dating expert Janna Joseph and Sheldon Fitzgerald, and they're sharing a modern approach to dating. We'll be right back.
Express yourself.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3, and oh boy, it is about to get so cute in the loft. Last week we met two adorable furry friends, Brown Bear and Nana, and they were both so charming that they are currently in the process of finding loving homes. How awesome is that? Today, Mila is looking for a new home, and joining us is Rachel Sylvester, founder and director of Sidewalk Specials. Tell us why you should consider adopting a furry friend. So hello, and hello to Mila.
Hello.
She is the most adorable thing I think I've seen in a long time.
She is, and she's just smelt chicken, so now she's just got a single mind. She just wants to know where that chicken is.
Oh, so that's why she's howling. It's like a typical baby, you know, it cries when it knows it wants something.
Exactly.
She's so cute. First, before we get to talking about Mila, let's quickly find out about the last two animals that were on our show. And how was the response after having them on air?
It was brilliant. We got about 50 emails, and Nana and Brown Bear were part of a 10 litter. So at the moment, they've all had applications in. They've all got home checks pending. So hopefully all 10 puppies have been adopted.
Amazing. And with so many opportunities, obviously, like that, I mean, with people trying to come and ask for you know, adopting animals, how do you guys go about vetting and deciding who gets to take the animal home with them?
We have application forms initially, speak to obviously the people in question. We home check. And to an extent, it's first come, first serve, as long as the home is good for the animal. If we think your home's great, but you do better with an older dog, we'll suggest other options to you guys. And so sometimes people just get involved, and then we say, why don't you try fostering? And then dogs like Mila get to come and stay with you whilst they look for a forever home, and you get the best of every world.
Amazing. Tell us about Mila's story. Where did you find her?
Well, we were doing outreach in the Dawns, and we were chatting to one family about sterilising their female. And they were like, yes, we really want to, and she's had puppies, which we don't want, which was Mila and her 2 brothers. And at that point, they were about 3 weeks, 4 weeks old. They were tiny in the palm of your hand. So we'd been bottle feeding them for a couple of weeks, and now they're 8 weeks and ready for homes.
Yay.
And Mila has this permanent little boop on her nose. I don't know if you guys can see that.
It's so cute. I can see it, like a footprint on her nose.
A little footprint on her nose forever. So they came to us that way. So the moms signed up for sterilisation. And we're looking for safe homes for these guys.
Stunning. And people want to get involved, like I said, they go and visit your details, obviously, on your website. They can apply online, and also, once that happens, get in contact with you to obviously receive the details.
Absolutely. We also have monthly adoption days at Grange Bay Market. People can come down, meet the dogs, meet us there, sign up to be a foster, adopt, even just let us know what they're looking for. Because a lot of times we just come across something, we know the family's looking for that, and we can just put the 2 in contact.
Stunning. We always, obviously, on the show are trying to promote adoption as opposed to buying new animals, especially when it comes to the breeding process. So Mila's looking for a brand new home, and perhaps you want to be that loving family for her. If you've got extra space in your heart and in your home, then please head over to sidewalkspecials.org. You can also get their details from our website as well, afternoonexpress.co.za. Please get in contact with them to find out how you can adopt her.
They're cute, they're cuddly, and they're TV stars. Baxter and Donut, the adorably fluffy 4-legged members of the Afternoon Express family, are sharing their daily adventures on social media. To see what Baxter and Donut get up to behind the scenes, follow the adventures of Baxter and the adventures of Donut on Instagram.
Somebody's getting attached. Now, join our sister show, Expresso, this Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. as they will be hosting a very special telethon in partnership with Clover in aid of CHOC Childhood Cancer Foundation South Africa. Now, all funds raised from the telethon will go towards building a brand new Clover NutriKids CHOC home. So really, please be part of a fantastic effort to support children and families who are bravely battling cancer by making your contribution to this amazing organization on Thursday, the 26th of April on Expresso from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
CHOC is one of South Africa's leading organizations who aid families who are affected by childhood cancer. Afternoon Express, together with my school, are committed to helping CHOC raise funds for a newly refurbished home away from home. You can get involved by signing up for your free virtual My School, My Village, My Planet card today. Download the My School app, select CHOC as one of your beneficiaries, and help us make a difference.
Welcome back on the couch. Today we've discussed everything surrounding marriage, divorce and relationships and what comes after. But what about finding new love?
Now, the dating game has changed drastically just in my lifetime, but also in the modern world. And here to help us guide through it is co-author of Dating by Numbers, Janna Joseph, and relationship therapist and co-author of Dating by Numbers, Sheldon Fitzgerald. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay, what exactly is what are your numbers? What is Dating by Numbers?
Sean, do you want to start?
No, you go ahead. Okay, basically, the idea is that every single person's got a number. If you saw someone walk down the street, you go, oh, that's a 7 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And so there's that kind of idea that people always talk about.
Okay.
And so we thought it'd be fun to write a book kind of playing off of that kind of idea of like,
but
what is a perfect 10?
How do you know what you are?
What do you mean you
how
do you know?
No, but can I tell you, I think I'm a solid 10. But I'm pretty sure I've dated someone who's thought I was like a sweet 7.
Okay, but it's not, okay, I'm going to cut in
I'm
slightly.
not a 7, I'm definitely a 10.
Definitely.
Yeah, geez, act like you know.
No, but how do you know?
No, it's not the old school kind of like guys sitting in a bar rating chicks thing at all. There's a lot more to it, and it's not just about how you look. It's basically basically it was kind of a very interesting way of explaining it is an experiment that was done like 10 years ago, where the Chicago evolutionary biologist was doing studies to see why we attract the people we do and why we don't attract the people we don't, and he basically took 10 guys and 10 girls, and he gave them each a number from 1 to 10 on their foreheads, and they didn't know what their own number was. And then they had to basically try and go and hold hands with somebody of the opposite sex who had the highest number possible. That was the kind of the only rule. So if I, for example, had a 4 on my forehead, I wouldn't know I had a 4 on my forehead.
Yeah.
I would just go for the 9s and 10s. They would look at me and they wouldn't want to hold my hand because I'm a low number.
Yeah.
So what happened is very quickly, within a couple of minutes, everybody went around kind of trying to get the numbers they could. And initially, all the 9s and 10s got together and thought that very quickly. Then everybody in the middle kind of started trying to find someone.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there were just like some straggling 1s and 2s.
The last people standing at the bar.
Yeah, and they kind of grabbed whoever was left, sort of thing. And then the idea behind the book was really that life is kind of similar. So we don't know what the number on our forehead is, and it changes day to day based on how we're feeling, how we're looking, how we're behaving, how confident we're feeling. So there's a lot more to it than just, oh, she's a 10.
It reminds me of a quote. Sorry, darling. It reminds me of a quote that really resonated with me when I first read it. And it says, you attract what you are, not what you want.
100%.
Yeah.
And
I mean, is it a similar idea?
Well, it's not even what you are, it's what you portray. It's like what we show up as in the world. So very often, you might be an 8 or 9 inside, but you don't show that to the people around you because you're so busy trying to fit in or look like a particular thing that the image you're giving to the world is somebody who might be a little bit more kind of superficial or a little bit more kind of focused on things that you're actually not truly interested in. And it's those mistakes. So the book is, I mean, as much as we play with the idea of like finding your number, it's finding your number and then finding the right partner, finding somebody who matches who you really are rather than, you know, just trying to fit into what would be cool. Or
how do you come
Tell
to
us
terms?
your personal story.
Oh, my friends say that my friends call me the SPCA because they say I always take in the strays.
Oh, no.
Because I've got terrible taste.
Jeannie.
No, you know why? Because I like really hot and that's all. But how
Hot
do you
and
make
brain dead.
peace with... Yeah.
I hope no one you dated is watching right now.
Okay. They're not concentrating to hear what we're saying anyway. How does somebody make peace if they're a 4?
Well, most people actually aren't 4s. Most people aren't actually 4s. They're just presenting as a 4. So it's like anyone might have the potential to be an 8 or a 9 or a 7 or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But let's say they're very shy, or let's say they've got low self-esteem because they've been in horrible relationships, which has brought them down. Or let's say that they just don't make much effort with what they wear. There's that in the book there are actually 4 categories that affect your number, from personality to health to your self-confidence, etc. And to your vitality.
So there's potential 10s hiding in 4s.
Well, there are potential 10s hiding in 4s, but they would have to do a lot of work. And frankly, not everybody wants to be a 10. Like, actually, a 10...
What? That's impossible.
Obviously, people aren't like us.
This is a big debate. We had this long debate.
So quickly, just talking about like dating after divorce and getting your confidence back. Jeannie always said gave me this piece of advice, and it always stood out for me, and I never forget it. She says, the best way to move on is to just date someone else, because dating's like monkey bars. You can't hold on to the next bar until you let go of the previous one.
You can't let go of a branch until you've got a firm grasp on another.
Monkey bars!
Just preferably make sure the next branch is solid, before you jump off.
Well, I give great advice, I think. It's worked for her. Over to you, Danilo.
So clearly this is going to start a conversation. So we're asking on social media, have divorce rates ever affected your thoughts surrounding marriage? You can tweet your answers and your thoughts to Afternoon Chat on Twitter. Use the hashtag Afternoon Express so we can find those messages, or comment on our Facebook page as well. Plus, if you'd like to share your thoughts live on the show, if you're brave enough, we'd love to hear from you. 021 430 9881. We are taking your calls and we'll be right back.
Hello, South Africa. Are you ready for me? Present the search on SABC3. We're out here.
Would you want to see me on your TV?
Do you think that I have what it takes to become the next SABC3 presenter?
It's me you are looking for. When you present, you have to be passionate about it.
Just put me in front of a camera and I'll show you how it's done.
Tune in to Presenter Search on 3
on the 10th of May, 7:30 sharp
on SABC3.
The stage is yours.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3. And today's show has been all about marriage and the nasty reality of divorce. So we've been getting your thoughts online, as well as we're back on the couch with our experts, Nolene, Sheldon, Janna and Rickman.
All right. You want to start?
So before the break, we spoke about getting your numbers up after a divorce, because most often people aren't feeling confident and their trust has been eroded. And
The confidence is low.
They kind of, a lot of people just say, I feel I'm like a fish out of water. I don't know how this works because I haven't had to do it for so long. So where do they start?
So it is about getting your confidence back up. And the easiest one, if I was going to say, here's the one thing you want to do, you want to get your vitality up. And your vitality is your emotional energy. So hang around with your fun friends, the ones that make you laugh, the ones that kind of bring you out of your shell. Spend time with people who light you up.
Yeah.
And that's the quickest, easiest way to start getting your number up.
So now I know that my advice to Bonnie, like not letting go of one branch until you've got a firm grasp on another. I mean, that's my advice to everything. But is that good advice? Should somebody get into a new relationship quite quickly after divorce?
It's not a bad idea if it's going to get your confidence up, to be honest. It's actually pretty good advice. But again, make sure that you're not just kind of like grabbing onto a branch that's going to break.
And also
you know?
treat people like people, bearing in mind the next person. You can't go and treat this other person like a healer for you. Like, what about them? The relationship is two-way, so be very careful of that kind of relationship as well.
I don't think you can treat anyone as a healer because it's up to them if they want to be a healer or not. I just think some people are perhaps really good together and they're good for each other, and then that results in a healing effect, I guess.
Let's get your thoughts at home. Welcome to Afternoon Express, Anonymous. Do you have a thought or a question for our attorney?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Please don't be one of my ex-boyfriends. Yeah. Hi, what's your question or comment?
Good day. Just need to find out quickly. I'm undergoing a divorce, and it's not finalized as yet, so I want to start a business, and we are married under community of property. So I just want to know if it will affect the divorce, or if the divorce will affect the business, like that.
Cool. So,
thank you.
Anonymous is starting a business and wants to know if that's going to affect his divorce proceedings or etc.
Or will the ex-wife get half the business, is what I understood from that question.
Well, without knowing the facts, my knee-jerk response would be wait until the divorce is finalized, because at the moment, all of the assets fall into one joint estate. So whatever profits your business make before you get divorced will fall in the hands of your soon-to-be ex-wife.
Okay, cool.
Is there still such a thing as a common law marriage?
No.
Okay.
That's the short answer.
Okay.
It is recognized in the UK, for instance, but in South Africa, for you to be regarded as married, you should be getting married.
Okay.
Yeah. The perception is often that people often get an antinuptial to protect their money, basically. It's when one of the parties is really wealthy and they want to make sure that their partner doesn't get all their money when they're divorced. That's obviously a misconception from the conversation that we've had.
Yes, absolutely. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is, for instance, if you're a business owner and you're exposed to risk, you don't really want to be putting your partner's estate at risk of if you were to be become insolvent, if your business gets liquidated. Remember, your assets can be attached as well if you're the spouse married in community of property. So definitely to protect that. And another thing people forget, especially if they've been married before, if you have been married before and you've got a maintenance order against you, that falls into your new spouse's estate as well. So your new spouse might have to end up paying maintenance to your ex.
Yeah.
But that's not fair.
It's the law.
Yeah, just the way the law works. But I mean, in
the
terms
law.
of, it's usually the pain afterwards. I mean, getting to that agreement of finalizing that divorce and having that separation happen is the first phase. But actually gaining that money, gaining those assets back becomes a lot of a longer journey involving, police and sort of all of those sort of processes. Have you spotted that being also another issue that South Africans are facing, is trying to gain that, that where we were married in community, to get your comment back, your stuff back?
Oh, I think people, before they get divorced, they often, first, it's where can I hide my money? And then the attorneys rack up a lot of costs to find the money. So firstly, I would advise to not hide the money, because you'll end up just paying more. But also, I would definitely say, settle as soon as you possibly can. You're only going to be putting money in your attorney's pocket if you're going to be fighting about it.
I see.
And start building your life as soon as possible.
Got you.
Now, I've got a question that I want to pose to all of you, because a friend of mine was going through a divorce, and she said if people knew what divorce was like, they would probably stay in the marriage.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think people are getting divorced too easily or too quickly? And should they, work harder at a marriage, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, that's
who's going to answer that?
Again, it's different from couple to couple.
Yeah.
It really depends on what are the marital issues. If someone cheated on you, going through betrayal is a very difficult journey, but it can be done.
Yeah.
So it depends on how hard you want to work at it, and really, if you've walked a journey and it really isn't working for you, then it might be an opportunity to move on to a better life.
Yeah. I mean, how do people stop themselves from making the same mistakes that led them to getting a divorce in the next relationship and the next relationship?
You make sure that you've dealt with your emotional baggage before you move on.
Yeah.
So you give yourself time to heal. I mean, the formula is basically for every year that you're in a relationship, you need a month to kind of recover from that. So kind of 6 months to a year, like if you've been once you've been in a relationship, and then every year after that, you kind of add an extra month. So if you've been in a 10-year relationship, don't expect that your heart is healed in 3 months.
That's
like it
great
takes a year or
advice.
two.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the couch today and for all of this amazing advice. I'm going to go out there and get myself a 10. Now, tomorrow we're hanging out with really hunky actor Lemogang Tsipa, who starred in the popular film Beyond the River. Plus, we have a live performance by Youngster Cape Town, or CPT. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, good night and happy eating. Ciao.
God bless.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Nada. Feel Good production.